Welcome to episode 1 of the Stolen Minutes podcast, where I will be sharing all that I am knitting, mostly socks, and crocheting. My name is Carrie, and I live in Ohio with my husband, our 2 teenagers, and 4 cats. They might make an appearance from time to time, but for the most part, right now, everyone is napping in their places that they love, and hopefully that is where they will stay. But you never know. They're cats, right? Okay. So I will be sharing in this episode some newly off the needles and or hook projects. I have a project that I have been working on for quite some time and finally finished it up last weekend. So I'm excited to share that. And I will share what is currently on my needles. Hint, it's a lot of socks. And let's see. Oh, and I will have a wool washing little hack for you, if you will. Okay, so, oh, and I'll probably share maybe what I'm reading or have been watching. And I plan to record these once or twice a month. I'm going to aim for twice. But honestly, what will probably guide me the most is just what I have finished. If I've finished a lot of stuff or I've finished new things since I last recorded, then I will record. But if I don't really have anything new to share or finished, then I'll probably hold off until I have that to do. All right, so let's talk first about finished objects. We'll start with socks because those are my favorite. I have been knitting socks for probably close to 18 years. I learned to crochet in college, probably like 25 years ago at this point. And then I always wanted to knit, and about 18 years ago, when my oldest was a baby, I really buckled down and I ended up learning how to knit socks. I took a class at a local yarn shop, extremely enjoyed knitting those, and pretty much have never not had socks on the needles. So, huge sock knitting fan. So let's start with socks. So the first pair I have is this pair. I don't have the yarn label anymore, so I apologize for that, but this is by Apothecary Yarns. I got this yarn at the Kentucky Sheep and Wool a couple years ago, and this is a fantastic yarn. It's 100% superwash, and it's got these little like rosy Merlot kind of colored speckles, and also for the heel flap and the toe, I used a mini that came with it, and I just love the way that worked up. I like it when yarn has a little bit of that like stripiness to it. I love stripy socks too, don't get me wrong, but I love it when hand-dyed yarns have this like speckle and a little bit of stripiness to them. You will find that 99.99% of the socks that I knit are a vanilla sock, which just simply means I start with a rib cuff. I do 15 to 20 rounds. This one is 15. I generally do 15, and I've started like upping it up to 20 just because I kind of like the look of that. And then I just do a stockinette leg. I do a heel flap and gusset, and then just stockinette leg and your standard toe decreases. Yeah, so I love these. I can't wait to wear them. Full disclosure, I haven't even woven in the ends on these yet. So they're sitting in a stack with another pair that needs its ends woven in. I need to get it done because I really do want to wear these. So I love these. These are for me. So a lot of times I knit socks for me and my mom. And if I have 2 pairs on the needle, one is for me and one is for her, I do knit for my girls. I've knit a pair for my husband. Yeah, it's just like if inspiration kind of hits and maybe a yarn is just calling out to be for someone special. So the second pair off of my needles recently is this pair, and this is a scrappy pair. I had knit a full pair in this green and white stripe and loved it and had the leftovers and thought, let's put those into a sock just right away. So I finished the full pair of this and I cast this on like, soon thereafter. So so I even ran out a little bit on the end. So I just threw this one in there because why not, right? So the details about this is the green and white stripe is an opal. No, sorry, it's a regia. And it's green and white stripe regia. Then the this burnt orange color that I am obsessed with is from Breaking Yarn. I believe it's her Hank Schrader colorway. I am obsessed with this. So I don't know if you can tell. I actually have a full pair of socks in this color too, because I love it. But it's got just like a little bit of that hand-dyed, you can get like some little darker bits in it, and I love that. I don't know if you can quite see it on here. It might be kind of blowing out a little bit. And then this purpley black, and there's like little bits of like a blue in there, but this is from Knitted Wit, and it is from their National Parks collection, and this is the Great Smoky Mountains. And the reason I chose to put this in here is because Gatlinburg Pigeon Forge is a super special place to us. We went there a lot when I was a kid. We vacationed there, and then it has since become our place where every summer we do a girls trip with my girls, my mom, my sister comes in with her little girl, and we just have a nice week down there doing all the things that we want to do without husbands and dads along to interrupt whatever pottery shopping or outlet snooping around that we want to do. So these were super fun. I loved knitting these. It was fun to like figure out. How I figured out how much I could do for the leg. I knew that I wanted to add them down on the toe as well, just to repeat that back in. So after I finished the full pair of the green and white, I always, after I knit my socks and I have some left over, I wind up that partial bit into a ball instead of leaving it in the skein because it gets really wobbly, and it's just floppy. So I always wind it into a ball. So as I did that, I counted how many stripes of each color I had. So I knew when I ended up that I had I had like 14 or 15 stripes total left over. So I knew that I could do the combination that I have. And that worked out, honestly, just right with the length of leg that I like to make. And I knew if I ran out, I would just sub in something else from my stash. So wasn't worried about that at all. So that is how I figured that I would have enough. I counted those stripes and divided them into two, and it just happened to work out fantastic. Love these socks too. Let's see, another pair that I have finished is, get these on the blocker real quick. I think it just helps be able to see what's going on. So this is my next pair that I have. This is a West Yorkshire Spinners, and the name of this colorway is Sunset Bouquet, and I added in the white for the heel, toe, and cuff, and I just think that really set off the multiple colors, and they're really nice. So this was a fun one. Again, kind of getting that micro striping in there, which is just really fun. The last pair that I have is this pair. These are actually for my mom, and these are, I do not know where I bought this yarn, and the label was called On Your Toes, and the print or the colorway name is Sunset Print. So that's it. That's kind of like all I really know. I couldn't find, sorry, fuzzy. So I have Ravelry pages, and I will link that below if you're interested in going and seeing all the details, or a link like to the yarn. I try to do that whenever that yarn, I know it and can put it in there. So these I did not make up matching. I finished the first one. This was the first one. I finished it up, and I just started the second one right where it left off. And that was really fun to just see where the placement of those stripes was going to happen. Sometimes I match my socks and sometimes I don't. And yeah, so these were really fun. I like the different size of the stripes and how they move throughout the entire sock. And the yellow has, you can see like these little like pink speckles in there. That's really fun. Yeah, I had no idea, just looking at this skein, how these were going to knit up. I didn't know if they were going to be stripy. I couldn't tell what it was going to do. The label might have said something about stripes, but I don't remember. But yeah, it was just kind of like a mystery. I guess the way it was wound, it was in like it was a commercial like yarn, so it was in that kind of like egg-shaped skein shape. So it was really not clear how it was going to stripe up or knit up at all. So these were fun. Okay, so that is it for finished socks. Just 4. I finished all those since August, I believe I finished all those up. And then these next 2 things, I finished up just this past weekend. So every once in a while, I will want to kind of go through my project bags and evaluate if there's something that just needs a little bit of something done and I can finish it up. And it's just very freeing, I think, to finish up projects that maybe have lost their steam along the way. So one of those was a hat that I knit for my husband for our anniversary. Our anniversary is in the middle of September, and I have almost knit him a hat every year, probably for at least the past 5 years. We've been married for 21 years, so he has a lot of hats. And a lot of times I'll say that I start one to give him for our anniversary, and then it may or may not be finished by then. But I started this and really thought that I was going to be able to have it done in time, and then I just wasn't. Sorry, I just like very fuzzy. So this is the Porty hat by Ysolda Teague. It is in that same family of hats that the Musselburgh is in, if you have knit any of those. If not, I highly recommend that hat also. It is in this family of hats, the beautiful thing about it is that you start at the crown and you do increases, and that becomes your gauge swatch. So you do your increases to a certain point and then you measure, and based on that, you pick your size that you want to knit. And Ysolda is fantastic and has already done all the math for you. So it's just knitting and it's beautiful. This one, this one is a 1x1 rib, and it's just your classic, like you knit, down however far you want, and then if you want to knit the brim or not. I knew that I wanted a nice wide brim for him because he likes to have his ears and then some covered up. So so this one has a nice wide brim on it, and I knit the adult size, not the adult large. There's an adult and then an adult large. There's also a couple child sizes too. But I did the adult size, and I actually made it about 1 3/4 inches longer than the pattern indicated because I knew I wanted that longer brim. I probably could have done the adult large, but my gauge was steering me towards the adult. So I held 2 fingering weight yarns together and knit this so it made it kind of like a DK weight, which is a nice weight to have then doubled up over your ears. What else about this hat? It's 1x1 rib. Yeah, the pattern is fantastic. You sold it even on the Musselburgh. The Musselburgh, you knit a big long tube and then you fold it into itself, and it's all stockinette. So you're knitting in the round on stockinette, and it makes a double layer hat. So when you fold up the brim on that one, you've got 4 layers on there. So when I've knit the Musselburgh, I think I have the 4th one on the needles right now. It's just a fantastic on-the-go kind of project once you get through those increases, and then you're just knitting around and around and around in a big tube, and it's a super warm hat. So I like to knit that one in just 1 strand of fingering weight. That's all I've ever done, but to be honest, I kind of want to do 2 because I love this fabric, and I think it would make a really snuggly hat. So, and her patterns are great. She has, you can download a mobile version to use on your phone, or you can, have the regular version that you print out, and they're just fantastic. She's done all the math, and they make up a great classic hat if you're looking for a pattern like that. Yeah, so that was super fun. And he loves it. He's already worn it. We've had a couple of cool mornings and cool nights, so he's had a chance to wear it. Okay, so maybe the star of the show, my most recent finished crochet project. I'll admit, crochet, while I learned it first and did that for years, it's taken a backseat to my knitting. I tend to wear things that I knit more than what I crochet. I tend to crochet things like blankets. I like to do towel toppers for like kitchen towels to hang up on, on your cabinet or whatever to dry your hands with. I like to do the towel toppers. This project has been on the hook for at least 5 years. My picture that I could find to closely date it was September of 2017. I find it hard to believe that I started a blanket in September just because in Ohio, it's still like 80s, can get into the 90s. And I tend to historically start blankets more at the beginning of a year. So maybe this actually started in like early 2017 instead of September, but that's okay. Nobody is counting. So this is my scrappy granny stripe blanket. I knit this out of all I crocheted this out of all fingering weight yarns. I used a size F hook, and my initial chain was 304 stitches, I think. I used the pattern by Lucy of Attic 24. If you're looking for a blog with lots of crochet inspiration, I highly recommend it. Recommend the Attic 24 blog. You can get lost on there for hours. She's got different edges to choose from. She just has so many blankets. Her color choices are beautiful. Of course, I went scrappy. I have lots of little bits of leftovers and partial skeins from socks, as well as minis that I've gotten in little trades or just picked up along the way in some local yarn shops. But most of my scraps left over are from socks. So this is huge. This is only half. It's twice as wide as what I'm showing. So this is it. Let's see. It is long enough that it fits over my feet and I can easily pull it up to my chin, if not even over my head. And when I lay it over a bed, which I have already slept with this on the bed like a few nights, and it was glorious. The weight that makes up with this fingering weight yarn is fantastic. It's heavy without being like kind of claustrophobic or something, but it's big enough that on a queen bed, it fits just to like where your pillow stops to the foot of the bed, but then it hangs over both sides of the bed. So it's plenty roomy for 2 people to like pull that up and have a little bit of extra. You're not going to be like sticking out the side or anything. Shouldn't be any major tug of wars with the blankets on the bed. But if you're sitting on the couch, it is easily for 2 people to snuggle up underneath that, or with a cat, however you prefer. And it was so fun to crochet. I definitely can see myself making another one. I kind of thought when I was working on it, like, oh, I will not make another one of these. But now that I'm done with it and I see how lovely just the fabric it makes, I can see myself definitely chaining on a new one and getting that in my basket. So how I changed yarns. I actually changed midway through. So here's what I did. I started out, I just had my bag with all of my little bits and bobs left over, and I would just, it was fun at first to grab in and pick which one I was going to do next. And then I just got to where I felt like that interrupted my rhythm of crocheting on it. And I thought, oh, I need a different way to do this because, it was slowing me down. Like I just wanted to crochet. Like if I was sitting and watching TV, I would get so caught up in picking the next color that it was kind of taking away some of the fun. So I've seen people make these, like a cake. I cannot remember what the name of it is, but you will knot together all of your bits and just wind them up. So that's what I did. I went to my winder and I had all of my minis in that bag that I was wanting to put on. And so it was like one time I had to make the decision of what color was coming next. And so I was able to even spread out all of my minis on the table next to me, and I could pick which one I thought might be a good contrast next, or not a contrast, or match. I loved going through and kind of making sections and putting certain ones together that I just thought was maybe unexpected or was expected. So I used the magic knot. So I stood at my winder and I would magic knot together a couple of scraps. I would wind up that bit on the winder. The end would come, I would magic knot on the next color. I would wind up what was, however much of that I had, and so on and so forth. And so I ended up with 2 or 3 skeins. One I know was close to 100 grams, and the other 2 were maybe pushing closer to 200 grams of the sock weight yarn. So it was just a great way. And then I just sat them in the basket that I was using, and it was so relaxing then. It just really changed it all up for me. It was like all of the thinking about what color comes next, or if that was a small bit or a bit, it didn't matter anymore. It was already chosen for me, and I absolutely loved that. So if you feel like picking that next color can slow you down or interrupt just the flow that you get into, maybe try attaching all of your little scraps into one great big cake. And I will link below the magic knot that I used, because that was a game changer for me. It makes a knot that, honestly, you'll break the yarn before the knot will, I have not had a knot come loose. So it will hold that knot in there and it won't come out. And you can trim the ends really short. And like I said, you're going to break the yarn pulling it so hard before that knot is going to undo. So granny stripe blanket, loving it. I don't know if it's going to go on my bed or on the couch. I don't know. It is quite lovely. So, if you have lots of leftovers, run and get yourself a hook and cast on your granny stripe blanket. You won't regret it. Okay. So that is it for my finished objects, my finished projects. So we can move on to what is currently on my needles. I don't have a crochet project going. Like I said, I might start another one of those blankets, but I haven't done that yet. So all I have is knitting projects. And let's talk first about the project that I kind of pulled out of hibernation since last spring. I started this, I believe, at the beginning of the year, and I really went quite consistent on it for a while, and then I got to a certain point and I just kind of lost all steam. Summer hit, and I think that definitely impacted my motivation for it. So here it is. It's in, so I have, did I mention that I have a small business where I make project bags for knitters and crocheters. Our signature is a stitch marker ring on the inside and black and white stripes. So this is an older bag, but it's fantastic. This is our large, and this is perfect for sweaters. That is what I'm talking about, is a sweater project. So here's what it is. This is the daily pullover by, oh, who is that by? It's on Pearl Soho. I do not know the designer's name right offhand, but if you search on, and I'll link to my Ravelry page and all of those details, the pattern and my yarn and needles and all that stuff is on there. But this is the daily pullover. It is a pattern on Pearl Soho's website, and Pearl Soho is a yarn shop in New York City, and this is their yarn. This is the yarn that is recommended in the pattern. This is their linen quill. It's a fingering weight yarn, and it is 50% fine Highland wool, 35% alpaca, and 15% linen. And this is the colorway Rosewood Pink. I love it. It's kind of a muted rosy pink. So this is a V-neck pullover, and there's some ribbing that I'll come back and put on. It's a long sleeve sweater. So I was really, really going well on this, and I'm rows away from starting. The bottom has ribbing, and so I'm really close to starting that. And so I got to within about 2 inches of needing to start that ribbing, and I just stalled out. Again, I think it kind of lined up with summer starting, but then I also have a tendency when I get to projects where there's going to be some kind of transition, or where I need to try it on, or I need to do a lot of measuring, I can tend to like stall out there and just set it aside, because I think in a way I'm not ready to make that commitment or that decision for how short or how long I'm going to want that sweater, but I'm committed. I'm going to do it. So I'm excited to get into this ribbing. I'll probably get into that this weekend, and that will be fun. So and then once I get done with that ribbing and get into those sleeves, it's just going to feel like a big sock, and I love socks, so there's no worries there about getting that done. So the daily pullover by Pearl Soho. If you've made one, let me know below. Like, did you make yours shorter, longer? Do you like the fit of it? I'm excited. It's just, that is a V-neck, long sleeve, lightweight sweater. Honestly, I could probably wear every day of the week, and I would be totally happy. So if this works out as well as I am hoping it does, I can see more of these in my future, for sure. And the linen quill is actually, it's a lighter weight feeling yarn. It's nice. I'm excited. I think it's going to feel nice. All right, so there's my daily pullover. Okay. So now the rest is socks. So sit back, relax, let's talk some socks. All right, so the first pair that I'm going to share, again, I told you I knit socks primarily for me and my mom, and so it's super fun. We go to a yarn shop or run into a festival or something. We're shopping together, and you know, she adds to her little stash in my cabinet as well, and I always mark hers so that way I know whose is whose. And she has her own space, but you know, sometimes it's easy to like forget because they're all so beautiful, and we tend to like the same things, so it's great. So I actually bought this yarn at the Wool Gathering in Yellow Springs, Ohio. It was a couple weeks, almost a month ago now, I think. And this is by Oink Pigments. And the name of this color is Kiss and Teal. All of their colorways have little fun play on words or puns to them. So I love that. The colors got me, but then when I saw the name, I knew I had to bring it home. And my mom absolutely loves those too. So Kiss and Teal, she loves turquoise, and she loves this magenta hot pink. I do too. But these are for her. And I will have leftovers, and so they will make their way into some kind of sock for me. But these are knitting up with some lovely gray and light gray tones, as well as that teal, and that magenta is kind of micro striping on there. So these have been really fun. I'm getting close to the heel. I have a few more rounds, so this will make some nice car knitting. So Kiss and Teal. Oh, this is their Tarhi sock, or, you know, fiber content. It's 90% superwash Tarhi and 10% nylon. So these are going to wear wonderfully. So I'm really excited to work on those. My next pair I'm going to talk about is in another one of our project bags that we make. My mom and I sew them together. So she doesn't come down and sew every day or sew every bag that we have in the shop, but she comes down often, and we sew together. And so that's really fun. But this was a bag we offered in the shop. It was late spring, I think. These bookshelves, they're super sweet. I can see bringing these back because these were really fun. With the plants on the shelf. On this side, one of the books says learn to sew. There's a learn to knit and a learn to quilt. So absolutely love that. That was really fun. So in this bag, I have a sock by McMullen Fiber Company. This is her Big Sky collection, and this colorway is called Dusk. And I also bought this yarn at the Wool Gathering in Yellow Springs about a month ago. And as soon as I walked into her booth, she had this sitting by the counter, and yeah, I immediately picked one up. So that just, I knew from the get-go was coming home. So it came with she had two little minis paired with it and the full skein. And so I'm using the peachy color for my cuff and maybe the toe. And then I'm going to do the heels, I think, in this butterscotch sort of rust color. I love that one. I think those are fun together. So we'll see. Maybe I'll do something different on the toe. I don't really have a strict plan when it comes to that yet. So again, I believe I did this cuff 20 rounds. And then this is the leg, how it's knitting up. And if you follow me on Instagram, you might have seen in my stories, there's a funny little story that goes with this. So I started these when we went to a marching band competition down in Louisville a couple of weeks ago. And I had gotten the cuff started while it was light out, but as it was getting darker on the way home, I just kept knitting the cuff. Well, I did not notice, but then I got to where I thought I was getting really close to the end of the cuff, so I wanted to put them away. So the next day, or whatever it was that I got them back out, I realized that I had goofed up halfway through the cuff on one side. So this side is fine. It's the way it's supposed to be. This side, I knit the knits and purled the purls. So I contemplated ripping it out. I contemplated dropping down and fixing it, but it is all my stitches on one side of the needle. So it would be every stitch dropping down. And then I thought, well, it's kind of a fun little reminder of the weekend. Like, me and my husband just went together. So it was just the two of us. We went and had dinner at a barbecue place. It was just overall an enjoyable day, on top of getting to see the marching band perform, which we absolutely love. Anyways, so I decided to keep it in there. So it doesn't bother me. I I will look at it as a happy little reminder of a fun weekend, and just leave it at that. Yeah. So that is McMullen. I love her yarn, by the way. I have knit with her yarn before, and it just, it's beautiful. It's just so lovely. Her colors and her combinations. So the next pair of socks on my needles are in this cute little bag. These we have not had in the shop. These are one of ours with the stripes on the inside. This is a Charlie Harper print. And if you know us, you know that we love, love, love Charlie Harper. And these are bags that we have not had in the shop, but definitely have plans for. So I know there's some of you that have been asking whenever I show this bag, are you going to have the beavers? Yes, we will. And I promise to share extensively when we do, because they are fantastic. Chewing on his little birch logs. So cute. So the socks that I have in this bag are by a yarn dyer that I do not think, I cannot find any place to purchase this yarn anymore. Actually, these are from my mom. And we bought these when we went camping a few years ago, and the yarn shop owner did some self-striping dyeing. So I cannot find it anywhere. BU, and the yarn shop has since closed from what I can gather. So I'm sorry about that, but these are fun. And because they have just like that fall vibe to them with that orange and the purple, I thought, what a perfect time to cast these on for a little something, something. So these are fun. So that is another pair. Okay, 2 more pairs, just 2. Okay, so this is a pair that I have in a bag that is currently in the shop. I just have to say that I am obsessed with this bag. I love this print. We've got stripes. We actually just released and announced that we now have custom stripes in our bags. Ooh. And it says Stolen Minutes in there. So we are over the moon excited about our custom fabric on the inside. That is something that we have talked about and wanted to do for a long time, and we were finally able to make that happen. Our own custom printed fabric for the inside of our bags. So this floral print I cannot get enough of at all. So I do have these in the shop in small, medium, and large. The small size is perfect for socks. That's what this size is. It is just big enough for your skein in there. So the skein comes up about to there. And yeah, your project, you have plenty of room to slip your project inside and zip it up, even with a finished sock. And all of our bags have a stitch marker ring on the inside where you can hang your progress keeper, you can hang your bulb marker, little scissors even work well on there. Yeah, love, love, love that bag. Okay, these are the socks. These are by Cozy Knitter. She is a self-striping yarn dyer. She is out of Canada, and I love her yarns. This is her Bliss base. This is an 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon. 80-20 tends to be my favorite base if I have a choice. That is what I will choose to purchase. So she does all self-striping. Did I say that already? She also does an Advent sock, and I don't know if she still has any of those pre-orders up or not, but she does a 24 stripe Advent socks. So every day in December leading up to Christmas Eve, you can knit 1 stripe a day. And those are really fun. I've done that for the past 2 years, and they're a blast. And so I just pretty much mark off December for Advent sock knitting. So yeah. Are you getting an Advent this year? I have 2 self-striping Advents, and that is what I will be working on. Maybe we get a little closer. I'll talk about what I do with those Advents and how I get 2 pairs of socks out of them. One for me, one for my mom. We'll talk about that another time when I have the socks with me to explain it. This is Frankenfeet by Cozy Knitter. This green is more jade, more minty than it's showing up. It's looking very turquoise right now for some reason, but trust me, it is more of a jade mint color, and it is really fun. An unexpected color combination, I think, but I love self-striping. I think that they knit up quicker. I think they do. Do you find that? I just think that, I don't know, you're kind of like knitting, and then, oh, I'll get to that next stripe. You want to start that next color. Next thing you know, you're 2 rounds into that color, and you're like, oh, I only have a couple more to the next color, and so I'll just do that. And it's a lot of fun. So, Cozy Knitter, Frankenfeet, vanilla sock. Loving. The last pair of socks that I have on the needles is in another one of our bags that is currently in the shop. This is another Charlie Harper print, and this is his Ladybugs in Flight. And I think it's showing pretty well here, but it is a really light lavender, moody purple background. And those ladybugs just pop on there, and they're flying. And so if you know Charlie Harper, you know that he is very well known for his insects and animals, and he can just pull out a simplicity in his subjects, but he also includes a lot of detail. So in a lot of his bags, there will be sort of a scene or something like that, and you won't even see all the little details until you really start looking at it. So that's one reason why we love his prints for project bags, because as you're knitting, you can sit there and just look at your bag and pull out little details. It's kind of like when I was a kid, your entertainment at breakfast was the cereal box. You know what I mean? And so it's kind of like that. Like you're just sitting there and you're just in your meditative knitting zone, and you're just looking at your bag and little details pop out. And I just think that's so fun. But the socks that I have in this bag are by Unplanned Peacock Studio. And this colorway is Midnight Rainbow. Now, I will say that she was at Wool Gathering. This has been in my stash for a few years. But when she was at Wool Gathering this year, I saw that she had a going out of business sign at her booth. And when I checked her out online, she has some deals on her yarn. So if you're just wanting some beautiful yarn at a great price, maybe check her out. The last that I could see, it was like you couldn't choose the colorways, but you could choose the base. And some of her sock yarn was like $17 a skein or something. And I'll be honest, like in her booth, there was never a colorway that I wouldn't have enjoyed knitting. So just passing that along, if you're in the market for some yarn, that might be a place to look, especially because if you love it, then it's kind of like the last chance you're going to get. So anyways, Midnight Rainbow by Unplanned Peacock Studio. It's knitting up a lot more of a purple hue to it than I was anticipating, which I don't have a problem with at all. But it's really, 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 really fun. Just another vanilla sock. I told you, that's all I knit is vanilla. So yeah, a lot of fun. I'm having a lot of fun with these. These are past the heel. I'm on the gusset decreases. And so yeah, get through those, and then they will be some nice, just straight car knitting or sitting on the couch watching TV knitting, right? Or football knitting. Like, do you go to football games? We go to football games to see the marching band. I'm not going to lie. That is totally why we go. I enjoy watching the games too. Our team is doing really well, so very proud of them. But we go for the band, and we love cheering them on. And I will sit and knit. As long as I can feel my fingers, I will be knitting at the football game. last week it was cold. I had on some fingerless mitts and I knit for as long as I could, but it wasn't even halftime and I couldn't feel, like the metal needles I think didn't help. They just transfer that cold, but yeah, I had to put my knitting away, and let me tell you, that was a long game. After halftime, I don't have my knitting. That's a long game. So anyways, that's my last pair of socks that I have to share today. Let's see. Let's talk a little bit about what I am reading and watching. So I read a book at bedtime, like a physical book, and then I listen to Audible books when I am sewing. So I have 2 books to share with you. The one that I am reading in hard copy is Hello Summer by Mary Kay Andrews. This is a fun little, it's kind of a beach read, I guess. I'm a little over halfway through it, and it is just a little synopsis. It's about a reporter who she moved away and worked for a big newspaper, and then she had a bigger job offer and was on her way of leaving that or going to that, and that job fell through, and she ends up back at home in her small town where her family has run a little small town newspaper for decades. And so her sister is running it now, and of course there's a little bit of tension between the 2 of them that you get to learn about, and there's like an old flame that you also get to learn about. But when she is there, she witnesses a car accident and becomes wrapped up in reporting on that. And so I'm really anxious to see how it ends, where it goes. It has some mystery to it. It has some romance to it. And who doesn't love a reporter figuring out some small town big news, right? So enjoying this book a lot. I would recommend it. Okay, so the book that I'm not currently listening to anything at the moment. I finished the book, The House Across the Lake, and that is by Riley Sager. Is that right? Yes. And I've never read or listened to any of his books before, so this was a first for me. I enjoyed it up to a certain point, and then I'll be honest, I kind of, like, without giving a really big spoiler, but a little bit of a spoiler, there's like this paranormal twist to it that it falls in line with the books like The Girl on the Train and Woman in the Window. And so if you've read those, those don't have any kind of like paranormal-ish to them, but this one feels like it's going to be in that realm, and then it takes kind of a twist at the end, and it was unexpected, so I feel like the paranormal part of it kind of took it down a notch for me. I guess I wasn't expecting it, so maybe that was why, but it's really good. It's about this woman who is, she's an actress, and you find out that she's lost her husband in some sort of tragic accident, you don't really know what, that has ended up in her grief and dealing with that, has landed her in her family's cottage. I believe it's set in like a lake in Minnesota, something like that. And so she is watching this couple across the lake who, he is like a tech giant, and the wife is a very well-known actress, and she's just like discovering things about their relationship that maybe she at first glance didn't think was even going on. And so there's definitely an element of like thriller to it. Nothing too horrific. To me, it's a light thriller. I've certainly read books that are more. But it was good. as long as you're okay with the end not being set in reality, I guess. So, yeah, but it was good. It was good to listen to. And I will probably look for another one of his books again. Yeah. So kind of along those lines, have you watched the show, The Girl in what is it? The Woman Across the Street from the Girl in the Window with Kristen Bell? It was on Netflix. I'm sure it's still there. It's a parody of all those books, like The Girl on the Train and Woman in the Window. It's a parody of those. And this book was not a parody by any means. But that Netflix show was kind of funny. I mean, who doesn't love Kristen Bell, first of all? She's fantastic. But I watched that a while ago. But what I'm currently watching, my husband and I, what we're currently watching is Big Little Lies. And it has Reese Witherspoon and Nicole Kidman. And it was from 2017, so it's not a new show by any means. We tend to take a long time to get through our shows. It's just the way that life is at the moment, and that's okay. But yes, Big Little Lies, very good. If you haven't watched it, I love Reese Witherspoon, and Nicole Kidman is good. We're only a couple of episodes in, but the fantastic thing is that it is only 2 seasons, and I believe there's 14 episodes, between those 2 seasons. So that feels relatively manageable for us to be able to finish that maybe by Christmas time, by December. I tell you what, but that's just the way the cookie crumbles, and it's okay. So yeah, that is what we're watching. That's what I'm reading. I hope you enjoyed seeing all that I am knitting on at the moment. And let's see, I will include all of the links that I can below. I will link my Ravelry so that you can go see my project pages if there's any more details you want to see about that. I try to put in any kind of like little links to the cast-ons or anything like that I might have found helpful when I worked on the project, so that way I can go back and reference it. What else? So one thing that I was worried about after I got this done was, how am I going to wash this blanket? Because it is way too much to wash by hand, at least more than what I wanted to manage. So here's what I did. Here's my little hack that has been serving me well with my hand knits, or crochets. And so I know that I'll say, with the exception of there might be a random little stripe in here that is not superwash, but for the most part, this is 100% superwash fingering weight sock yarn. And so those are machine washable. And so I just threw this in the washer on cold, and I used just I have some like Free and Clear all detergent, and I put this in on a speed wash cycle, which is a shorter cycle than like a normal wash. And I put it on that, excuse me, I had to put it on that speed wash cycle, and I set I can control the spin speed on it. And so I put the spin speed to low, and I put that Free and Clear detergent in and on cold, and it was a short wash, a light soil setting also to get the shortest cycle and that low spin speed, and it came out beautifully. So then I was anticipating to hang it to dry or lay it over something to dry, but again, I knew it would take a long time. So I thought, I'm just going to put it in the dryer on low heat and just toss it for like 20-30 minutes to try and pull some of that moisture out. So that's what I did. I put it in for 20-30 minutes, checked on it. It looked absolutely perfect. It looked unharmed. It looked fine. And so I put it back in for another, I think I did 30 minutes because it was doing okay. So I put it in for another 30 minutes and it came out beautifully. The only thing I might do, especially if I had a lot of light colored yarns, is I might throw a color catcher in. I will do that with my socks a lot of times because I do favor reds or pinks especially, and those can have a tendency to bleed. If a color is going to bleed, I have found that it's a pink or a red. So I found that just putting some color catcher sheets in there, they're just in the laundry section at your grocery store, and I have even cut them in half because they're kind of like a 3 by 5 inch card size, and I've even cut those in half just to whatever, make them stretch longer, and they will pick up some color occasionally. But yeah, I mean, I guess do it at your own risk, of course. Like, you know your machine, and I have a front loader, so there is not that agitator in there, so that also probably makes a difference. I don't know if I would put this in with an agitator. I'd probably have more hesitation, but those front loader machines tend to be pretty gentle. So I was happy to be able to put it in there and then take it out of the dryer. So again, I would not do that if it was not superwash yarn. And like I said, there's like a couple stripes, like maybe this green one is not superwash, but again, it's amidst all these others, and it was a short cycle, low spin. So it came out beautifully. So that is my little granny stripe wool washing hack. Even for my socks, I will say that I hand wash them in a tub with wool wash, and then I squeeze them out and I put them in my washer on a low spin, and I let it spin out for, I think my low spin cycle, or like spin and drain cycle, it's like 13 minutes or something like that. I will put it in on that cycle, the drain and spin, and I will go check it after like 7 or 8 minutes. I don't let it go the whole time. I put it on that low spin again, and I check it before the cycle is over, and it just spins them out nicely so they aren't dripping, first of all, onto my floor, and then I hang them up on a drying rack to dry. So that is how I wash my hand knit socks and how I will wash my granny stripe blanket from now on. Hope that helps you. Let me know if you give it a try, or let me know in the comments, how do you wash your crochet blankets? How do you do it? I'm curious. I hope you have a good rest of your day, the rest of your weekend, whenever it is that you happen to be watching this. I will be back in probably a couple of weeks. We'll see what I get finished in the meantime. Will that daily pullover be done? Who knows? But anyways, I hope that you are able to find some little stolen minutes in your day, and that you get lots of knitting time. And until next time, happy knitting. Bye.